First contact with fear. The warning came on an ordinary Tuesday, as warnings often do. Dr. Naomi Winters stood at the observation deck of the research vessel Horizon, watching distant stars blur past the reinforced windows when the first transmission arrived. Her dark curls reflected in the glass as she studied the urgent message scrolling across her datapad. Multiple civilizations reporting catastrophic infection rates. Unknown pathogen. Quarantine protocols in effect across 17 systems. She didn't realize then that this message would change everything. Behind her, the soft hum of the ship's engines provided a steady backbeat to the controlled chaos of the bridge. Lieutenant James Harrison's voice cut through her thoughts. "Doctor, we're picking up a distress signal. Looks like a Centaurian medical vessel." Naomi turned from the window, her brown eyes narrowing as she studied the holographic display. The Centaurian ship drifted at an odd angle, its usual elegant lines somehow wrong. "Life signs?" "Minimal," Harrison replied, his fingers dancing across the control panel. "But their containment protocols are active. They're requesting immediate assistance." Before Naomi could respond, another voice joined the conversation. "We should keep our distance." Dr. Fatima Rahman, the ship's head of xenobiology, stepped onto the bridge. Her normally composed features carried an edge of concern. "The Centaurians don't activate containment without cause." But it was too late for caution. The Horizon had already crossed into the Centaurian ship's sector, and within hours, the first crew members began showing symptoms. Not that anyone recognized them as symptoms at first, just headaches, mild fever, the kind of things space travelers dealt with regularly. The real panic started when the Galactic Consortium's message arrived. High Commissioner Zyxtal, their crystalline form shimmering with anxiety, delivered the news personally: the virus has claimed entire civilizations. No known cure. No survivors. Quarantine is mandatory. Naomi stood in the medical bay, watching as her colleague Dr. Owen Fletcher examined yet another crew member with just a cold. The scanner hummed, its blue light washing over Petty Officer Priya Patel as she sat on the examination table, sniffling. "This doesn't make sense," Owen muttered, frowning at his readings. "According to everything we're hearing from the consortium, we should all be." He trailed off, unwilling to finish the thought. "Dead?" Priya supplied helpfully, before sneezing. "Sorry, Doc. Just feeling like I've got a bad case of the flu." Naomi's mind raced. The symptoms matched the virus that was devastating alien populations across the galaxy, but the severity was drastically different. While other species succumbed within days, humans were treating it like a minor inconvenience. The ship's AI, Nova, interrupted her thoughts. "Dr. Winters, incoming transmission from the Galactic Consortium. Priority Alpha." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing not just High Commissioner Zyxtal, but an entire council of alien representatives. Their forms, crystalline, gaseous, bioorganic, all showed signs of distress in their own unique ways. "Horizon," Zyxtal began, their voice resonating with harmonics that indicated extreme anxiety, "our sensors indicate your entire crew is infected. Yet you continue to function. Explain." Naomi glanced at her colleagues, then back at the alien council. "We are infected," she confirmed. "But our symptoms are mild. Manageable. We're treating it like any other viral infection." The council erupted in a cacophony of untranslatable exclamations. A Varaxian elder, their plasma-based form pulsing with agitation, moved forward. "Impossible. The virus has decimated 3 advanced civilizations in the past solar cycle alone. No species has shown resistance." "Perhaps," Naomi suggested, her scientific mind already forming hypotheses, "that's exactly why you need us. We're not resistant, we're adapting. And if we can understand why, we might be able to help everyone else do the same." The silence that followed was deafening. In that moment, As she stood before the gathered representatives of countless dying civilizations, Naomi realized that humanity's greatest weakness, their constant exposure to pathogens, their endless cycle of infection and recovery, might just be their greatest strength. Behind her, Priya sneezed again, earning startled reactions from the alien council. Naomi couldn't help but smile. Sometimes the most powerful weapons came in the smallest packages, and humanity's immune system might just save the galaxy. The Silent Defenders. Inside the Horizon's primary laboratory, Dr. Rajesh Kapoor bent over his microscope, watching human white blood cells systematically dismantle the alien virus. Around him, holographic displays tracked infection rates across both the ship and known space. The contrast was staggering. While alien civilizations reported mortality rates above 90%, the Horizon's crew mostly complained about running out of tissue paper. "Look at this," he called out to his research partner, Dr. Luna Reyes, who was analyzing genetic sequences nearby. "Our lymphocytes aren't just fighting the virus, they're adapting to it in real time." Luna moved to his station, her tired eyes brightening with interest. "It's like they've seen something similar before." "But that's impossible, this is an alien pathogen." "Is it, though?" Rajesh leaned back, running a hand through his graying hair. "What if viruses across the galaxy follow similar patterns? We've been fighting them since before we walked upright." Their discussion was interrupted by the ship's communication system. "Medical team to the bridge," Commander Olivia Bennett's voice carried an unusual edge. "We have company." When they arrived, the bridge's viewscreen showed 3 massive vessels surrounding the Horizon. Their organic-looking hulls pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, the trademark of the Meridian Collective, one of the oldest spacefaring civilizations. "They're demanding we submit to immediate quarantine," Commander Bennett explained, her weathered face tight with concern. "They're calling us a plague ship." Dr. Viktor Petrov, the ship's chief medical officer, stepped forward. "With all due respect to the Meridians, we might be their only hope." "Rajesh, show them what we found." Rajesh quickly transferred his laboratory data to the main screen. "Meridian Command, we're not just surviving this virus, we're learning from it. Our immune systems have dealt with countless pathogens throughout our evolution. This may be new, but the principle remains the same." The Meridian response came as pulses of light translated into words: "Your species is primitive. You lack the biological safeguards we engineered millennia ago." "Maybe that's exactly the point," Luna interjected. "You engineered away the very thing that could save you, the ability to adapt. Our primitive immune systems are exactly what we need right now." In the following hours, the laboratory became a hub of frenetic activity. While the Meridian ships maintained their quarantine position, the Horizon's medical team worked to understand why humanity's response to the virus was so different. "It's like comparing a special forces team to an automated defense system," Rajesh explained to Commander Bennett during their status update. "The automated system is perfect against known threats, but it can't adapt to new ones. Our immune system is like a team that's trained to handle anything, messy, but effective." Luna's voice cut through the conversation. "Found something. The virus, it's not just similar to Earth-based pathogens, it's following the same basic rules of evolution. Our bodies recognize the pattern, even if the specific threat is new." Commander Bennett frowned. "Can we use this to help the others?" "Better," Rajesh replied, excitement creeping into his voice. "We can teach their systems to do what ours does naturally. It won't be perfect, but it's better than extinction," Luna finished. The breakthrough came 3 days later. By studying how human immune responses modified the virus, they developed a treatment that could help other species' immune systems recognize and fight the threat. It wasn't elegant, the Meridians particularly objected to the idea of deliberately inducing controlled infection, but it was working. "Think of it like training wheels," Dr. Petrov explained to the increasingly interested alien observers. "We're teaching your immune systems how to do what ours learned through millions of years of trial and error." As the first successful treatments were documented, the Meridian ship's threatening posture slowly changed. Their hull patterns shifted from aggressive reds to curious blues and greens. The same species that had come to quarantine them were now their most eager students. "It's ironic," Rajesh said to Luna as they watched the first batch of treatment doses being prepared for transport. "They called us primitive because we get sick, never realizing that getting sick, and recovering, is what made us strong." Through the laboratory viewport, Earth's sun was just visible as a distant point of light. Somewhere out there, countless civilizations were fighting for survival against a virus that humanity regarded as little more than an inconvenience. The universe had feared a virus, but in doing so, they had overlooked humanity's greatest gift, the strength that comes from vulnerability, the wisdom earned through struggle, and the power of an immune system shaped by countless battles. Commander Bennett's voice came over the intercom. "Medical team, prepare for visitors. The Meridians want to begin treatment protocols immediately. Looks like humanity just became the galaxy's doctor." A galaxy holds its breath. The Horizons conference room had never hosted such a diverse gathering. Commander Olivia Bennett sat at the head of the table, surrounded by holographic projections of representatives from 12 different species. The room's environmental controls worked overtime to accommodate the various atmospheric needs of their physical visitors. The Meridian ambassadors' bioluminescent form pulsed with shades of green as they spoke. "The treatment protocols show promise, but many of our colonies remain skeptical. They fear this controlled infection method will only spread the disaster." "We understand the concern," Commander Bennett replied, her calm voice masking the exhaustion of endless diplomatic sessions. "Dr. Hudson, please share our latest results." Dr. Wesley Hudson, the Horizons epidemiologist, projected a new set of data streams into the center of the room. His dark skin contrasted with the white of his medical uniform as he moved through the holographic displays. "The numbers speak for themselves. Planets that have implemented our treatment show an 87% reduction in mortality rates." From the corner, First Officer Ryan O'Neill tracked the reactions of their alien guests. The crystalline Arcturians vibrated with what he recognized as interest, while the gaseous veil representatives swirled in their containment fields, a sign of ongoing debate among their collective consciousness. "What your species considers mild symptoms," the Arcturian delegate chimed, their voice like wind through crystal, "our people experience as devastating. How can we trust this won't destroy what remains of our civilization?" Dr. Amara Okafor, head of xenogenetics, stepped forward. Her voice carried the weight of countless hours studying alien physiologies. "That's why we're not using a one-size-fits-all approach. Each treatment is specifically modified for your species' biological framework. We're teaching your immune systems to fight back, not overwhelming them." The room erupted in multilingual discussion. Translation software struggled to keep up with the overlapping conversations. Through it all, the human crew maintained their composure, answering questions with patience born from understanding the stakes involved. In the adjacent medical bay, Dr. Rajesh Kapoor and his team continued their work, modifying treatments for newly arrived species. Each success strengthened their position, but time wasn't on their side. Reports of new outbreaks arrived hourly. "Commander," Nova interrupted, its artificial voice carrying unusual urgency. "Priority transmission from the Veil Collective. Their primary nursery world has reported first contact with the virus." The news hit like a physical blow. The Veil's nursery worlds were where they cultivated new consciousness, the equivalent of human children. The entire species' future could be at risk. "Prepare my shuttle," Commander Bennett ordered, standing. "Dr. Okafor, Dr. Hudson, you're with me. The Veil need more than just our medicine, they need to see that we understand what's at stake." As the shuttle departed for the Veil nursery world, the remaining crew redoubled their efforts. First Officer O'Neill coordinated with other human vessels that had been brought into the response effort. The initial fear of human ships had transformed into desperate hope as news of the treatment spread. In the ship's communication center, Communications Officer Jade Chen managed an ever-growing network of distress calls and treatment requests. "It's like the entire galaxy is holding its breath," she remarked to no one in particular. "Waiting to see if the primitive humans can actually pull this off." The Vale Nursery world was unlike anything the human crew had seen before. Clouds of consciousness swirled through specially designed atmospheric chambers, each containing thousands of developing Vale minds. The sight of dark, infected patches spreading through these pristine clouds galvanized the team into action. "We need to modify the delivery method," Dr. Okafor announced, already adjusting her calculations. "Their consciousness affects their physical form more directly than we initially assumed. The treatment needs to address both." Commander Bennett watched as her medical team worked, their determination matching the urgency of their task. This wasn't just about saving lives anymore, it was about preserving the future of an entire species, about protecting the equivalent of children. Hours stretched into days as they refined and administered the treatment. Slowly, the dark patches began to recede. The Vale Elders, initially skeptical of human interference, now hovered nearby in what translated as reverent observation. "Your species understands something we had forgotten," one of the Vale Elders communicated. "The value of protecting new life, of fighting for survival not just for ourselves, but for those who come after." As the shuttle returned to the horizon, Commander Bennett received word that the Galactic Council had reached a decision. The emergency session would begin as soon as they arrived. Humanity's role in the galaxy was about to change forever. Strength in adaptation. The Galactic Council chamber aboard the massive station Nexus Prime hummed with nervous energy. Thousands of representatives from across known space gathered to witness something unprecedented, humanity's formal recognition as the galaxy's leading medical authority during the crisis. Dr. Marcus Foster stood before the assembled council, his dark hand steady as he manipulated the holographic display showing the latest treatment developments. Behind him, the Earth delegation watched with quiet pride as their once dismissed, primitive, immune system became the template for galactic survival. "The key isn't just in the treatment," he explained, his voice carrying through the chamber's perfect acoustics. "It's in understanding that adaptation itself is strength. What you saw as our weakness, our susceptibility to illness, created our greatest defense." The Quantum Archive, an ancient AI that served as the Council's historical record, projected data streams comparing pre- and post-treatment survival rates. The numbers were undeniable. Worlds that had accepted human medical intervention were recovering. Those that hadn't continued to fall. In the observation deck above, Dr. Jessica Patel monitored incoming data from treatment centers across the galaxy. Her team had developed an elegant system for tracking mutations and adjusting protocols in real time. Each new adaptation of the virus was met with a corresponding evolution in treatment. "We've got another mutation in the Andromeda sector," called out Dr. Yuki Tanaka, her fingers flying over the control panel. "The virus is trying to bypass our latest protocols." Jessica smiled. "Let it try. Every mutation teaches us something new. We adapt faster than it does now." Below, in the council chamber, the debate had shifted from whether to accept human help to how quickly it could be implemented. The Arcturian High Command, once the strongest opposition to human medical practices, now led the call for immediate galaxy-wide distribution of treatment protocols. Commander Bennett, representing Earth's military interests, addressed the security concerns. "We understand the fear of opening your worlds to human medical teams. That's why we're implementing a knowledge transfer program. Your own medical professionals will learn our techniques, adapted specifically for your species." The announcement caused a ripple of relief through the assembly. The Meridian representatives' colors shifted to show approval. "You offer not just treatment, but understanding. This is unexpected." In the research wing of Nexus Prime, Dr. Foster's team made another breakthrough. Dr. Zara Ibrahim burst into his office, her eyes bright with excitement. "Marcus, we've done it. The viral fragments, they're not just dying, they're being reprogrammed by the host immune systems. The treated species are developing their own adaptive responses. The news spread quickly through the station. Humanity hadn't just created a treatment, they'd sparked an evolutionary leap in dozens of species. The virus that threatened to destroy civilization had instead become the catalyst for its advancement. "It's poetic, really," Dr. Foster remarked during an emergency council session. "The thing you feared most about us, our messy, chaotic way of dealing with disease, turned out to be exactly what the galaxy needed. We don't just survive viruses, we learn from them. And now, so do you." The Quantum Archive registered the moment as a turning point in galactic history. Species that had isolated themselves for millennia behind perfect biological defenses began to understand the value of adaptation. The human approach to medicine, once dismissed as crude and dangerous, was revolutionizing xenobiology across known space. Commander Bennett received the priority transmission in her temporary quarters. Earth's governments had unanimously agreed to establish the Interstellar Medical Corps, a new organization dedicated to sharing human medical knowledge with alien civilizations. The virus that had threatened to end everything had instead sparked a new age of cooperation. In the station's medical bay, Dr. Foster watched as alien medical students practiced the techniques his team had developed. Each species brought their own unique perspective, their own biological advantages, to the learning process. Humanity's gift wasn't just the treatment, it was teaching the galaxy how to adapt, how to grow stronger through challenge rather than hiding from it. "Ready for the next phase?" Dr. Ibrahim asked, joining him at the observation window. "Always," he replied, watching as another ship arrived carrying medical volunteers from Earth. "The virus taught us something too, after all." "What's that?" "That sometimes the best way to help ourselves is to help others. We're all in this together now." Hope spreads like starlight. 6 months after humanity's medical protocols had been implemented across the galaxy, Ambassador Thomas Blackwood stood in the newly constructed Terran Medical Academy on Nexus Prime. The massive facility, built through the combined efforts of 12 species, represented something unprecedented, a galactic commitment to learning from humanity's primitive medical wisdom. Through the Academy's quantum glass windows, ships from across the galaxy arrived hourly, bringing new students, researchers, and patients. What had begun as an emergency response to a deadly virus had evolved into something far more profound, a fundamental shift in how species approached their own biological destiny. The latest reports from the outer colonies are remarkable, Dr. Sofia Mendoza reported, her holographic form flickering beside him. Species that haven't evolved for millennia are showing signs of natural adaptation. It's like we've awakened something dormant in their genetics. In the Academy's main research hub, Dr. Rajesh Kapoor, now serving as Chief of Xenomedical Studies, supervised a diverse team of human and alien researchers. The original virus had been thoroughly defeated, but its legacy lived on in the form of strengthened immune systems across the galaxy. "Watch this," he said to a group of crystalline Arcturian students, displaying a hologram of their species' modified immune response. "Your natural crystalline structure now incorporates elements of human adaptive immunity. You're not just surviving disease, you're learning from it." The Veil Collective, once on the brink of losing their nursery worlds, had become some of humanity's strongest allies. Their gaseous forms now carried modified cellular structures inspired by human white blood cells, creating a hybrid defense system that was more robust than either species' original design. "We didn't just save them," Dr. Luna Reyes observed during a staff meeting. "We helped them save themselves. That's the real victory here." The Quantum Archive had recorded an unprecedented rate of biological advancement across known space. Species that had relied on technological shields against disease for millions of years were rediscovering their own capacity for natural evolution. The galaxy was quite literally coming alive again. Commander Bennett, now Admiral Bennett, coordinated the expanding network of human medical ships from her office in the Academy. "Another request from the Meridian colonies," she announced. "They want to establish their own branch of the Academy in their home system." The news brought smiles to her staff. The same species that had once threatened to quarantine humanity now sought to emulate them. It was a transformation none of them had expected when they first encountered the virus. In the Academy's Memorial Garden, a unique monument had been erected. It displayed the genetic sequence of the virus that had nearly destroyed civilization, alongside the modified human immune response that had saved it. Below it, in dozens of languages, was inscribed, "From fear came understanding. From crisis came unity. From humanity came hope." Dr. Marcus Foster, leading a tour of new alien medical students, paused by the monument. "The virus taught us all something vital," he explained to his diverse audience. "Strength doesn't come from perfect immunity or isolation. It comes from facing challenges and adapting to them. From learning and growing, even when it's uncomfortable or scary." As night fell on Nexus Prime, the Academy's lights created a beacon visible from orbit. Ships from across the galaxy continued their approach, carrying the next generation of students eager to learn what humanity had to teach. Ambassador Blackwood, preparing for another round of diplomatic meetings, smiled at the sight. The universe had feared a virus, but humanity had shown them something greater than fear: the power of resilience, the strength of adaptation, and the endless possibility of growth through adversity. In the end, it wasn't just about surviving a virus. It was about teaching the galaxy that what they had seen as humanity's greatest weakness, their constant struggle with disease, their messy and chaotic immune response, was actually their greatest gift to the stars. The last transmission of the day came from Earth. Another graduating class of doctors, researchers, and medical specialists was ready to join the Academy. The virus that had threatened to end everything had instead sparked a renaissance of biological understanding and interspecies cooperation. As the galaxy's species learned to adapt and grow stronger together, one truth became clear: sometimes the best medicine isn't a cure, but the wisdom to learn from every challenge we face. The story that began with fear ended with hope, spreading like starlight across the cosmos, one adaptation at a time.